back to Cess Talk Sports, BY's Poly Sports Tea Time, where sports meets politics, power, and receipts. This is the gaslight, stripping the smoke, exposing the hustles, and telling the truth the system don't want you to see. For too long, they told us we're lucky just to play. Talent praised, business seats denied, visibility sold without value. But that script is breaking. And today we're talking about the power shift shaking the game, NIL, name, image, likeness. The rise of the Black athlete brand, not just contracts, not just clout, ownership, wealth, legacy. Back in 2005, John Hope Franklin said there is hope that a new generation of athletes will use his popularity, wealth, and influence to help create a desperately needed economy for the vast majority of African Americans who sit on the periphery of society. That hope is here right now. From high school gyms to college courts, NIL is changing the play. And I'm not breaking it down alone. Enter Political Lil. No filter, no fear, no fluff. She brings the heat on how politics, culture, and sports collide and why NIL is the front line for Black power in 2025.
Oh, thank you, Auntie Cess. You already know I'm honored to be here as part of this gaslight conversation. And you're right. This isn't just a trend or a moment in sports. It's an economic shift that could be a game changer for the Black community if we understand what's really at stake. For too long, we've been the labor force, the entertainment, the main event, but never the owners. NIL on paper opens the door for athletes to finally profit from their own names. But if we don't have legal support, financial strategy, cultural awareness, and most importantly, community investment, then NIL becomes just another way for folks to commodify Black bodies and capitalize on our brilliance without us seeing long-term gain. What we want to do in this episode is alert our people, especially parents, students, athletes, coaches, and Black professionals. This is our moment. NIL can either be a hustle that ends when the clock runs out or a launch pad to build generational wealth and legacy. And that choice depends on how we move. So we're going to break this all the way down, from agents and endorsements to family management and financial literacy. We're going to call out all the traps and highlight the truth tellers. And most importantly, we're going to push the community to show up not just as fans of our athletes, but as investors in our future.
Our guiding question for this episode is, how can Black athletes and their communities turn NIL into a tool for ownership, not just opportunity? Last episode, we broke down the sneakerhead economy, how Black creativity built billions, but the fight is still moving from collectors to CEOs. Missed it? Go sip that tea, because it set the stage for today. Now, today's focus, NIL, agents, and the rise of the Black athlete brand. NIL, name, image, likeness, ain't just a legal shift. It's a cultural turning point, a new lane for wealth, visibility, and control. But here's the catch. Without knowing the fine print, the players pulling strings, and the system still designed to extract, NIL risks becoming another hustle. Another setup where we clap from the sidelines while others cash in. This combo ain't just about contracts, it's about consciousness. Dr. Claude Anderson in Powernomics, if you are not practicing group economics, you are not practicing economic development. Let that sink in. NIL isn't just individual shine, it's collective power. So the real questions, who's building the agencies, who's running the legal, and who's owning the athlete-led media? That's what we're here to unpack.
And you said that right, Auntie. I want our people to really hear that. NIL can be a tool of liberation, but only if we treat it as a business and not as a trend. And the business of sports has never been fair to Black athletes. Not when we're bringing in the millions for these college programs and couldn't even afford a flight home. And not now when we're being told to have freedom, but no one hands us a blueprint. This is the gaslight, right? So let's talk about the gas, because right now, athletes are being flooded with offers, DM from agents, collectives, and endorsement deals. But nobody is slowing down to ask, is this deal building equity or just visibility? We got high school kids signing away their image for sneakers and a TikTok shout out, while others are getting locked into contracts that limit their future value. And in the meantime, Black businesses, lawyers, and creatives, people who should be in position, are often left out of the conversation completely. So today, our intention is simple: reclaim the narrative and redirect the power. NIL should benefit the athletes, yes, but it should also benefit the community that built them. That means parents need knowledge, agents need accountability, and black professionals need to enter the space now. This ain't just about ball. It's about building a black sports economy we can actually own.
All right, look, name, image, likeness, NIL wasn't always on the table. For decades, the NCAA ran the hustle. Pack a stadium, sell out jerseys, drive billion-dollar TV deals, and still get punished for a free meal. That was exploitation. 2021, NCAA versus Austin. Supreme Court said enough. Athletes could finally profit off their own image. Long overdue. No roadmap. Fast forward to 2025. NIL is a $1.67 billion economy. Athletes are influencers, CEOs, podcasters, designers, entrepreneurs. Here's the kicker. The door is open, but not everybody's eating. Knowledge, protection, connection. That's the difference between winning and getting hustled all over again. So let's break it down. Money's moving, but is the power really shifting?
You hear this, Cess? Because while NIL created a wave of opportunity, it also exposed a whole new set of inequalities. Let's start with the top earners. Yes, black athletes are visible, but they're not always valued the same. Right now, athletes like Shedeur Sanders and Angel Reese were breaking the mold, earning $1 million each through NIL. But compare that to someone like Livy Dunn, a white gymnast with a massive online following, reportedly clearing $3 to $4 million a year. That ain't just about talent. That's about access, algorithms, and brand bias. And what about the high school athletes? NIL is now state by state. In some places like California, they're cashing checks at 16. In others, it's still banned. So we have an uneven playing field before the game even begins. That creates chaos and confusion for families trying to do what's best for their child. Then there's the rise of collectives. These are often school-affiliated groups offering big cash to athletes to attend or stay at certain programs. On the surface, it looks like freedom, but behind the scene, there's pressure, performance clauses, and contracts that can lock players down. And let's not even talk about the corporate poaching, brands sliding into DMs, dangling opportunities to young athletes who don't yet understand intellectual property or long-term brand value.
NIL ain't just a boys club. Some of the smartest brand plays coming from the women's side. Angel Reese, the Bayou Barbie. Turn media hate into marketing gold. Think about the media, me-bounds. Not just signing deals, curating a persona. That's black girl brilliance. Flashay Johnson, baller, rapper, businesswoman, deals with Puma, JBL, Powerade. Mama running the empire like the CEO. Legacy built from the inside out. Juju Watkins, USC superstar, selective, strategic, crafting image plus partnerships with precision. That's brand power and skill working hand in hand. Shedeur Sanders, not just flashing watches, structuring real deals through the prime effect. That's business layered on legacy. And yeah, Livy Dunn showed what perfect alignment of brand plus platform looks like. But here's the real question. How do black athletes get the same support without compromising who they are? Because visibility doesn't equal value, especially in a system still built to favor white marketability.
Exactly. This isn't just the NIL conversation. It's a visibility economy conversation. Because if we're not managing, mentoring, and protecting our athletes from the jump, we'll look up in 5 years and realize we were present in the moment, but absent in the movement. The real question becomes, who's walking through the NIL door with a team and who's walking through alone? If you're 17 and signing a sneaker deal with a company but don't own the rights to your name, are you really free? If your agent is connected to the same system that's long ignored black athletes' mental health and brand development, are you really protected? So yes, the door is open. But if we don't educate our people, athletes, parents, and professionals, we'll keep seeing what we've always seen. Black labor, white profit. And NIL will become just another pipeline, not to freedom, but to corporate dependency, with a prettier logo.
Gotta give flowers right now to Alvion Brule. She ain't just writing books, she's writing blueprints. Tips and truth for student athletes. Dear football moms, both break the silence on what too many families learned the hard way. Talent ain't enough. You need knowledge. You need it early. NIL is business, and in business, you either build equity or get played. Brule keeps it plain. Financial literacy plus branding plus negotiation plus agent discernment belong in the same convo as workout and highlight reels, because your image is an asset and your signature, that's power. Wonder why they stopped teaching cursive in school. That's totally another conversation. But let's be real. Black moms been CEOs without the title, running carpools and contracts, praying over kids and piecing together sports budgets, holding the family down and protecting futures. Brule talks straight to them. Don't get intimidated by lawyers or agents. You're the first line of defense. Ask the questions, demand clarity, because the real question ain't just how much is the deal worth, it's how are you protecting my child's long-term equity?
That part. And I love what Brule doesn't sugarcoat anything. She keeps it all the way real, because some of these NIL deals are not about building dreams. They're about buying silence. They're quick checks with fine hidden print. And our young athletes are being trained to feel grateful instead of powerful. One of Brule's most important truths is this: the deal should fund dreams, not limit them. Let that sit for a second, because too many of these so-called opportunities are actually setting ceilings, not expanding futures. I've seen contracts that prevent athletes from building their own platform, starting a podcast, launching merch, or partnering with Black-owned companies unless they get pre-approved by the brand. That's not freedom. That's modern-day gatekeeping. And here's another key. Brule reminds us that the NIL doesn't change the game for the athlete. It changes the role of the family. You can't just be a cheerleader anymore. You have to be a strategist. That means understanding taxes, branding, licensing, intellectual property, and performance clauses. And if you don't understand it, find someone in the community who does. Because what's worse than exploitation is the silence around exploitation.
Let's keep it real. We can't afford to let NIL become just another machine that eats our babies up and spits them out at 25. No plan, no ownership, no legacy. We've seen this story before in the music industry, in college ball, in entertainment. Talent used, profits made, futures discarded. NIL is a second chance to do different, but only if we treat it like strategy and not hype. Alvion Brule, she's giving us a playbook. Every coach, every parent, every athlete needs it. She's not just empowering individuals, she's arming communities. But let's be honest, if your kids get a deal and your local CPA can't explain the tax structure, that's a problem. If your church, your school, your community ain't preparing young athletes for this new economy, that's a missed opportunity. From the stands to the strategy, that's the shift. We can't just clap, we got to build. And here's the bigger picture. William C. Rhoden laid it out in $40 million slaves. He called it the conveyor belt. From youth leagues to AAU gyms to D1 arenas to pro teams, Black kids tagged early, developed just enough to sell tickets, jerseys, and TV rights, then discarded the moment profits did. It's the same system dressed in different uniforms. From shackles to shoe deals, from plantations to practice gyms, the wealth flows up, not back. NIL was supposed to break that chain, but unless we build infrastructure around it, it's just the same old machine with new packaging. They'll let us shine individually. They'll praise the hustle, but they won't fund our freedom. They'll hype independence, but they won't let us organize. That's the illusion of agency Rhoden warned about. In football and basketball, Black athletes are the majority, but the real power is still in the hands of white coaches, commissioners, and executives. NIL didn't dismantle that. It just put a Band-Aid on it. So ask yourself, if you can't speak out without risking your brand, are you really free? If your image makes millions, but your community don't see a dime, is that liberation? This moment looks like freedom, but it smells like exploitation wrapped in new sneakers. NIL might be a door, but without ownership, without strategy, without infrastructure, it's a trap door. And that's what this Gaslight series is here for. Expose the shine, call out the hustle, remind our people, representation without ownership is control. Until we own media, marketing, and management, we're still playing on somebody else's field.
Rhoden Books remains one of the most essential texts for understanding this entire conversation. He shows how Black excellence has always been monetized for someone else's benefit, while our communities remain underfunded, undervalued, and unseen. That's not just history. That's happening right now. NIL is simply the latest space where Black bodies are turned into brands without the necessary shift in power. You can't call it progress if the wealth gap widens while the highlight reels grow. When we talk about NIL becoming a new plantation, we're not being dramatic. We're being honest. Just like before, the industry sells us dreams of freedom while managing every part of our movement. The brand owns your likeness. The school controls your narrative. The agents eat off your work. And if you speak out, if you challenge the system, you're labeled difficult and ungrateful, and the deals dry up. That's not liberation. That's curated compliance. We have to name the fact that this system thrives off our desire for access. It tells us to focus on the bag, keep our heads down, play the game. But as Rodin points out, freedom isn't about access, it's about control. And control doesn't come from individual endorsement. It comes from collective ownership. Where are the Black-owned agencies? Where are the HBCU media rights? Where are the athlete unions for NIL protection? Until we build a structure that serves us, we'll keep making applause for power. This segment is meant to warn us. NIL without structure is a rerun with better lighting. Yes, we've made strides. Yes, we have opportunity. But if we don't connect NIL to political education, community wealth building, and strategic infrastructure, we'll look back 10 years from now and realize we walked through an open door and straight into another system of extraction. And this time, we chose it because we didn't prepare.
We can't have a real conversation about Black empowerment without pulling in one of the architects of the blueprint, Dr. Claude Anderson. His book, Powernomics, lays it out plain. 5 pillars of power that, if we build on them, give us the infrastructure to stop being fuel for someone else's empire and start owning the whole machine. And here's the connection. NIL isn't just a hustle. It's a door into that blueprint. The question on the floor, are we going to keep being talent, or are we going to control the production, the platform, and the profits? Pillar 1 is education. If we're serious about flipping NIL into generational wealth, then NIL education has to start in our schools. Financial literacy, contract negotiation, personal branding. This shouldn't be a crash course when a kid goes viral on TikTok or signs their first sneaker deal. This should be curriculum in Black high schools right now. Protect the name before somebody else trademarks it. Teach intellectual property before an agent shows up with papers to sign. Pillar 2, economics. And this is where Dr. Anderson's concept of group economics cuts deep. Individual success ain't enough if the ecosystem is still owned by outsiders. That means hire Black sports agents, hire Black lawyers, hire Black CPAs, build Black-led marketing and media teams. If our athletes are bringing billions into this economy, then that wealth has to circle back through our own institutions. Otherwise, NIL is just another pipeline. Our kids shine, somebody else cashes in, and our community stays starving. And here's the brilliance of Dr. Anderson. He shows how education, economics, politics, media, and law are all interconnected. You move one, you move them all. NIL is the spark, but if it's paired with ownership and infrastructure, it becomes legacy. Without those pillars, NIL is just visibility without value. With them, NIL shifts center of gravity in the sports economy out of their hands into ours.
That's exactly it, Cess. Because if we only focus on the individual deals and the viral moments, we miss the strategic picture. Let's take it to the third pillar, politics. NIL has become part of our political agenda. That means pushing for laws and school policies that protect Black athletes before exploitation happens. We need state-level legislation that ensure athletes can exit contracts, retain control of their brand, and receive real education, not just a token workshop. Then we move to media, the fourth pillar. And woo, this one is key. The media is where our images form and often deform. Who controls the narrative around our athletes? Who decides what's marketable? If we don't have Black-owned media platforms, NIL just becomes another space where Black culture is consumed but not controlled. We need to be producing our own content, owning our own story, and challenging media bias in how our athletes, especially Black women, are portrayed. The last pillar is law. And I'll say this loud for the folks in the back. Legal representation is not a luxury, it's protection. Athletes should not be signing contracts without an attorney, period. But not just any attorney, one who understands sports, branding, IP, and more importantly, the athlete's vision. Too many young athletes are walking into deals blind, trusting verbal promises over written protection. That's a setup. Legal literacy has to be part of the NIL ecosystem, especially in our community. Now, here's where the real power moves. Athlete co-ops and Black sport management firms. We need collective ownership models where athletes pool resources to hire their own professionals, build their own platforms, and invest in each other. Think about a group of athletes launching a Black-owned agency or NIL fund for the next generation. That's powernomics in motion. And that's turning the game into a business and keeping the business in our community.
Black women deserve their flowers in this NIL game. Because let's keep it real. We're not just showing up, we're running the play. Flau'jae Johnson's mom, Kia Brooks, isn't just a parent. She's a CEO. Puma, JBL, Amazon Prime, basketball plus music plus business, all moving as one empire. Angel Reese's mom, Angel Sr., built Bayou Barbie into a global identity. She didn't wait for agents or networks. She stamped her daughter's image on her own terms and forced the industry to play catch up. This is what it looks like when Black women flip parenting into power, when they take raw talent and turn it into structured empires. But here's the truth. Black women athletes themselves are CEOs right now. Every contract, a business case study. Every endorsement, a lesson in ownership. And this is where we can't slip. HBCUs, schools, community programs, they need incubators built for women athletes because visibility is rising. But so are the risks. We've seen this before. Overexposed, underpaid, erased. This time, the ending's different. This time, we protect the culture.
Absolutely. And let's be clear. This is not new for Black women. It's just finally getting some spotlight. For generations, we've been the managers, the PR teams, the bodyguards, the stylists, and the therapists, all rolled into one. What's shifting now is that NIL puts a dollar value on what Black women have always done for free. And now it's time to structure it, formalize it, and get paid for it. The gender gap in NIL is real. On one hand, female athletes are starting to break through. In basketball, gymnastics, volleyball, and track, with impressive deals and massive following. But on the other hand, many of these deals are still tied to appearance, lifestyle, and marketability over actual sport performance. That makes Black women especially vulnerable to tokenism. So while the visibility is rising, we need to make sure the value is rising with it. There is an assumption in the NIL space that women are less complex clients, that they just want to do beauty deals for TikTok collaborations. That's gaslight logic. Black women athletes are multi-hyphen. They're launching foundations, designing apparel, starting podcasts, creating media companies. And yet, most NIL education programs still target male athletes first or treat women sports like it's some side story. That's not strategy. That's systemic neglect. If we're serious about building an equitable NIL culture, we need to center Black women, not as exceptions, but as expectations. That means recruiting Black women into leadership positions in sport law, PR, media strategy, and athlete management. It means investing in mentorship programs where older pros can guide younger players. And it means creating NIL spaces that aren't just inclusive, but designed from the ground up with Black women in mind. Because as we've seen already, when mama managing, the legacy is secure.
Let's talk about one of the most critical combos NIL athletes and families got to have. Who's really in your corner? Because in this NIL economy, everybody pulls up with a smile in the contract, but don't get it twisted. The contract ain't care. Just because someone can land you a sneaker deal doesn't mean they're protecting your name, your value, or your long-term future. Too many athletes are signing with agents who talk slick but think short-term. Yeah, they can finesse a quick promo gig, but when it's time to protect your intellectual property, negotiate exit clauses, build a brand roadmap, they disappear, or worse, they exploit your blind spots. Exclusivity traps, hidden fees. You don't need a lawyer, whispers. That's not a mentorship. That's manipulation. A real agent is a guardian. Transparent commission, clear termination clauses, making sure you own your name, your logos, your image. And if you're 17, 18, 19, they better be breaking down every line of that deal in plain language, not just slide paper across the table. But here's the truth. One agent ain't enough. You don't need dependency. You need a team, a sports attorney, a CPA, a brand strategist, a family advocate who isn't afraid to ask the hard questions. This ain't just business, it's legacy. And when it's your child's, your name, your future on the line, you don't need a hype man. You need a protector.
Exactly. Because when it comes to NIL, the wolves are always wearing fangs. Sometimes they aren't always wearing fangs. Sometimes they show up in custom suits, quoting Drake lyrics, promising family vibes. That's the new gaslight. They make it personal so you'll skip the paperwork. And it's especially dangerous when you're a Black athlete from a working class background, because they know you're often coming from a space with no prior financial management experience, no legal support, and a deep desire to trust someone. This is why we need institutionalized support. That means pushing for NIL advisory board, teams of culturally competent professionals that can walk young Black athletes and their families through the full landscape before they sign anything. These advisory boards can be housed in schools, communities, centers, HBUs, or even athlete-led nonprofits. And they should be independent, not school funded or brand controlled. That's how we create accountability and prevent exploitation before it happens. We also need to shift the culture around what it means to make it. Getting a deal is not the finish line. It's the first domino. If your agent can't tell you what your name is worth 10 years from now, if they aren't helping you structure equity into partnerships, and if they don't know the difference between PR and brand positioning, they're just a middleman and a prettier rapper. And let's be honest, a lot of these agents are chasing clout, not your career. So the message to athletes is this: you are not a paycheck. You are a business. And every business needs infrastructure, not just hype. If you're trusting someone with your future, make sure they're building with you and not just off you. And for the parents, caregivers, and community mentors, don't be afraid to ask the hard questions, because a real agent won't be offended. They'll be impressed.
Let's close this out with the truth. The NIL gold rush is here, and it's not just for athletes, it's for us. Black lawyers, Black CPAs, Black publicists, Black brand managers, and strategists. Athletes are walking into multi-million-dollar decisions without culturally competent support. That ain't just a gap, it's a crisis. We don't need saviors, we need systems. High schools and colleges, especially those serving Black student populations, must partner with Black-owned firms. Why are branding contracts still going to agencies with no ties to our communities? Why are educational workshops being run by folks who don't even understand the racialized media landscape our athletes navigate every day? The solution: pipelines. Our HBCUs are filled with generational brilliance, law students, marketing majors, business grads who speak the language and know the culture. So why aren't they plugging into the NIL economy? Imagine this: third-year law students reviewing NIL contracts under mentorship, business students designing NIL brand plans, communication majors running athlete media training. That's powernomics in real time. And it can't stop there. We need summits, expos, workshops, spaces where contracts get explained, questions get asked, and futures get protected. Because NIL isn't a moment, it's a movement. But only if we build in the scaffolding. So here's a call: Black professionals, step in. Don't sit this out. Athletes need a team that looks like them, thinks like them, and fights for them. Not just with them, for them.
That's it, Cess. Because what good is an open door if there's no one standing at the threshold ready to guide you in? This isn't just about helping student athletes win. It's about Black communities reclaiming our value chain. For too long, we've been positioned at the front end of the production, but locked out of the back end profits. NIL gives us a unique chance to change that, not through hype, but through infrastructure. Let's be real. White-owned firms already circling the block. They've got NIL divisions, social media teams, ready-made platforms. We have to match that energy our way. That means mentorship program for parents, business workshop for high school athletes, and media literacy classes for anyone with a brand deal. This is bigger than sponsorship. It's cultural preservation, financial literacy, and legacy planning all rolled into one. This is our time to be architects, not just advisors. What would it look like if every state with a legalized NIL also had a Black sports business collective? What if every major Black sports city hosted an annual Black athlete entrepreneurship expo, sponsored by HBCUs, local Black-owned businesses, and sports legends committed to reinvesting in the culture? We don't have to wait for permission. We just have to organize. So here's the final call. Step in, show up, build forward. NIL is not just a bag, it's a blueprint. And like John Hope Franklin reminded us at the start of this show, the real power comes when our visibility becomes a vehicle for building an economy that finally centers us. If we miss this moment, we will repeat history. But if we meet it, we'll rewrite it. Let me leave y'all with this. NIL isn't just a headline or a hashtag. It's a historical opportunity to move the Black communities from labor to leadership inside the sports economy. We're no longer just the product. We are the platform. But with that power comes responsibility. NIL is a lane to liberation if we manage it wisely. Our young athletes are brands now. That's real. But the brand without direction is easy to exploit. If we don't give them the tools to build strategy, protect their image, and invest with the intention, we're just watching a new version of the same old story. And that story ends in burnout, lost wealth, and missed opportunity. We have to stop outsourcing our trust in agencies, lawyers, media reps who don't know our culture, our families, or our goals. Instead, we need to start building legacy teams, advisors, educators, and advocates who reflect us, who respect us, and who are committed to building with us. NIL should never be about getting a check. It should be about creating a chain of empowerment that links generations. So I'll end with this. Branding without ownership is still exploitation. Let's teach our athletes to be owners, not just influencers. Let's flip that system while the door is still open.
All right, fam. That's our Polysports Tea Time for today. This ain't just sports talk. It's a strategy session for collective power. Like we always say, knowledge is power, but shared knowledge is liberation. We unpacked a lot, but this ain't the end of the convo. It's the beginning of a new chapter. Here's the final sip. Every generation gets a chance to flip the game. Let this be ours. This NIL wave, it's not just a moment, it's a mechanism. Let's not just ride it, let's remix it. Let's build businesses, ownership networks, advisory collectives, and sports education hubs that reflect who we are and where we come from. Spread the word, because if we're going to support our athletes, we got to be informed fans and empowered communities. So if this moves you, do what needs doing. Like, comment, subscribe. Share this with every parent, coach, player, entrepreneur, and sports professional you know. Because we don't just sip tea on this show, we spill truth. And we do it with purpose. Let's be an informed fan base. Let's build Black power through sports, one play at a time. And as always, leave your cup on the table, because Let's Talk Sports and Political Ill will be back next time with more heat. Next episode, Gaslight Episode 5, Unveiling the Politics of Sports. Is modern sports just sharecropping in jerseys? We'll dig into the billion-dollar industries that thrive off Black athletic labor while locking us out of ownership. And we'll introduce a bold proposal, the Urban Sports Business Academy, backed by the Urban League, business leaders, and community experts teaching financial literacy, sports law, media management, and athlete entrepreneurship from youth leagues to the pro stage. Because sports are never just about the games we play. It's about the stories we tell and the systems we expose. This is Cess, your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies, riding with Political Ill. Y'all stay sharp, stay ready, stay tuned. Talk soon, y'all. We out.